Roeselare is a Belgian city and municipality in the Flemish province of West Flanders. Early dwellings have been found in the area, as well as prehistoric flint tools, Gallo-Roman wells, and a small 9th century Frankish building. The Franks were a group of Germanic people associated with tribes between the Lower Rhine and the Ems River, on the edge of the Roman Empire. Today, the municipality comprises the city of Roeselare proper and the towns of Beveren, Okeen, and Rodenbach. The name of the city is derived from two Germanic words meaning reed and open space, an example of marsh in a forest glade. It's been lovingly called the Manchester of Belgium and has a port on the canal that's normally bustling with activity. In 1875, a young Albrecht Rodenbach, who later became an important poet, led a protest against the use of French in education at the city's minor seminary. This was the spearheading of the Flemish Groot Storinge student revolt and an instrumental step towards the introduction of Dutch in Flemish secondary education. In 1912, Odelie de Frey, who called Roeselare home, won the Tour de France. This was Belgium's first time winning the coveted championship. Coors Museum of Cycle Racing opened in Roeselare in 1998, and this terrific museum documents the history of competitive cycling, but also the evolution of the bicycle. They display how the design of racing bikes has changed through the years, and they have a room dedicated to the four world champions that hailed from Roeselare. Rodenbach Brewery in Roeselare specializes in Vlaams Roodbrouwen. It's a beer that after fermentation is allowed to mature in giant oak barrels for various lengths of time. It's otherwise known as Flemish Red Brown. The oldest of these barrels dates back to 1872. Afterwards, the matured beer is then cut with young beer. Rodenbach's flagship Grand Cru is 67% to 33% blend of older and younger beer with an almost wine-like aroma and a light, refreshing sourness. Legend has it that Baldwin Iron Arm, the 9th century first Margrave of Flanders, kidnapped King Charles the Bald's daughter, Judith, from Senlis and brought her to a fortress in Roeselare. This is Rodenbach Castle. It has a very distinct Flemish Renaissance design and dates back to 1538. The Roeselare Leie Canal is an artificial waterway dug through the Mandel Valley. It took 10 years from 1862 till 1872 to complete, and it's 16.5 kilometers long. That's 10.25 miles long. And it's still operational thanks to Roeselare's thriving inland port. The center of the city is home to a urban park cemetery, and that dates back to 1806. It's a burial place for people from all walks of life, from civilians to fallen Belgian, French, and British First World War soldiers, to priests and monks. One burial monument from the First World War that will hold your attention is that of French soldier Ferdinand de Hittet, who stayed behind in Roeselare in October 1914 to allow his fellow soldiers to pull out and leave. When it comes to art, Belgium has a long and distinguished artistic tradition that goes back to the Middle Ages. Important monasteries in Belgium were centers of production in Carolingian art and Attonian art, and latter the area producing Romanesque Mosan art is now largely in Belgium. Flanders became one of the richest areas in Europe in the later Middle Ages, and early Netherlandish paintings produced work for both the wealthy townspeople as well as the courtiers of the Duke of Burgundy. Several of the most famous and influential artists in history were born in modern-day Belgium. These include the likes of Jan van Eyck, a Renaissance artist who revolutionized oil painting, and Peter Paul Rubens, the leading Baroque artist of his time. The same can be said about Pieter Bruegel the Elder, one of the most influential artists in Northern Europe in the 16th century, and Anthony van Dyck, a man who became the court painter in England. In modern times, famous experimental artists like Vaafs Liquid Art create and sell prized paintings to global audiences seeking to have in hand a piece of the historic Belgian paints, with their sweet aromas cast into so many varied displays, inspired by centuries of influence and creativity. These are interesting things with JC.